Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel called Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means one pearl or gem from one book. Today I'm going to read a small section from the book How to Have the Awesome Power of Public Speaking, written by Peter J. Daniels. This time it's going to be an online version of this book that I'm going to read from. I bought this book several years ago from a website maintained by Mr. Peter J. Daniels' organization. Before I read a segment from his book, I would like to briefly talk about who Mr. Peter J. Daniels is. He came from a disadvantaged background, and his early years were plagued by illiteracy and ignorance. He transformed himself, and as of today, Peter J. Daniels has authored over 15 books and numerous business education programs that are distributed worldwide in many languages. He has been honored by universities, institutions, and governments for his entrepreneurial ability and benevolence, and has served on international boards with some of the world's greatest intellectual, business, academic, religious, and corporate giants of the 20th and 21st centuries. Now let me read that segment from his great book on public speaking. No great sculptor, musician, surgeon, or actor can perform consistently well without practice. So it is with those who desire to have the awesome power of public speaking. I know of no other key to be good at anything than practice, practice, practice with relentless continuity and creative variety. Actually, we can also pronounce this word in a slightly different way. So let me read this line again. I know of no other key to be good at anything than practice, practice, practice with relentless continuity and creative variety. So when I read it again, I pronounced continuity a bit differently than I did earlier. Thousands of times I have practiced my talks. In the early days, I would go into the country and cause the birds to stop singing with my clumsy rhetoric. At home, I would often go into the bathroom and turn all the taps on full while practicing for that special occasion. Often I would try and stay home alone and deliver my speech into a tape recorder and play it back, looking for those awkward sentences that needed remolding and tones and sounds that had to be rectified to create the desired flow. I even went to the extent of adding applause from other soundtracks to try and savor something of what I was expecting to experience to enable me to accept a response without getting off the track. At these times, I would also listen to recordings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or Jr., Dr. Billy Graham, Billy Sunday, Sir Winston Churchill, and many others to capture and try to savor something of their oratorical genius. Now, let me express my own views about what I have just read. If you want to be an excellent speaker of the English language, or any language for that matter, you should start listening to great orators and learn from them. And then you need to practice speaking. Try to record your talks and analyze their defects. With constant practice, you will start getting better and better at the skill. Being careful about pronunciation is important because sounds do have an impact on your listeners. English words of more than one syllable have stress patterns. Some of the syllables need to be pronounced a bit louder than other syllables. For example, In the word benevolence, the stress is on the second syllable, nev. And take the word entrepreneur. This word has 4 syllables, on, tra, pra, na. But the stress, usually, when you have more than 2 syllables, that is 3 syllables or more, you usually have, 2 syllables that need to be stressed. So one of them has the secondary stress and the other one has a primary stress. So in this, on has a slight stress. So entrepreneur. The primary stress is on the last syllable, entrepreneur. So when you are careful about these little things, you would sound better to your listeners. Words are not only chosen for their sounds, but for their meanings as well. Make sure you make it a habit of referring to a good dictionary often. Referring to dictionaries should become a habit because dictionaries are a storehouse of words. And many great speakers have had this habit of reading dictionaries just like a normal book. Lincoln used to read a dictionary just like a book. The poet Robert Browning, I think he read through the entire tome written by Dr. Samuel Johnson, one of the most famous dictionaries of that time. And in our country, we had Srinivasa Sastry. He used to pore over his Webster as though it were his Bhagavad Gita. That's an excellent habit, and that is going to improve your communication skills a lot. Now, when you listen to speakers, it's also important to understand how many obstacles they had to overcome in order to become so good at what they do. That is, if they speak extremely well, then they should have overcome many obstacles, especially in their initial phase of their careers. So remember this quotation by Booker T. Washington. He said, and I quote, "I have learned that success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed." Now, let's say you listen to 2 speakers and they both are excellent. So how do you decide who is better? I mean, both are excellent, no doubt. But then who should become your role model of those, 2 that you admire? I think the person who has overcome more obstacles than the other. For example, I'll take 4 personalities from history, and I'm going to just maybe unfold this idea of Booker T. Washington a bit. Let me compare Winston Churchill and Lincoln first. Winston Churchill was a great communicator, a master of English. He was a great writer, a great orator. One of the reasons why the British defeated the Germans during the Second World War was that Winston Churchill was able to motivate and inspire the British Army through his speeches broadcast on the radio. Some of his phrases have become immortal. For example, "I have nothing to offer you but blood, toil, sweat, and tears." But Winston Churchill had a great educational background. He got his education at some of the best institutions in the world. So Churchill's mastery of English is commendable, but his educational background had to do with some of his achievements. Lincoln, on the other hand, was a self-taught person. He used to walk miles to borrow a book on grammar, and he used to pore over the dictionary to achieve mastery of the English language. Lincoln delivered one of the greatest speeches ever delivered in English. It's called the Gettysburg Address. So both these communicators were great orators, great writers, but Lincoln seems to be a better role model for us because he overcame more obstacles in acquiring that mastery than did Churchill. Now let me compare Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Srinivasa Sastry. Nehru, just like Churchill, had a very privileged education. He studied at some of the best institutes in the world during that time. So Nehru was an exceptional communicator, exceptional writer, exceptional orator, but the educational background of his had to do something with that. I mean, one of the things that contributed to his communication skills was his educational background. Srinivasa Sastry, on the other hand, was a self-taught person. He never got his education at Cambridge or Oxford. He studied in India, and he spent his first salary, I think half of his first salary, on buying a copy of the Webster's Dictionary. And he had a habit of poring over the dictionary to acquire an exceptional mastery of the English language. So again, just like I think Lincoln had to overcome more obstacles in order to master the English language, Srinivasa Sastry had to overcome more obstacles than Nehru to master the English language. So although we can learn from Churchill and Nehru as well, we can learn more from Lincoln and Sastry because they inspire us more, because they show us how, although there are many obstacles and problems and difficulties in trying to achieve mastery over the English language, if you have the courage, determination, and will to be an excellent communicator, you can be an excellent communicator. So that's it from that's it for today, friends. Thanks for watching this video.